circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire.
Welcome back, Moonies, to another edition of Which is the Moon. This is season 13, week 20, and this week we are discussing reading tarot for self and others. Now, I had this entire video recorded and was actually editing it to upload it to our channel when I realized something told me check the video and there was no sound. It's Monday! Yay! So please forgive me if I seem a little discombobulated because I was like, now I've got to remember exactly what I said. This video might end up being a little bit shorter than the original video because I'm going to try to be more concise and less jibber-jabbery about it. First of all, I have a real problem reading tarot for myself, I guess would be a good way to put it. My concern with reading tarot for myself versus reading for others is that when I read for others, I don't second guess myself. I don't question what I see or the impression I get when I read the card. When I read tarot, it's a very clairaudient task for me. Based on the messages I see within the cards, the first message I get is how I interpret that card. Now, I do actually hear it as a voice in my head. It's not my voice, by the way. So I don't tend to second guess what I'm seeing in the cards. I read it exactly the way I interpret it based on what in the artwork catches my eye. Now, when I read cards for others, when I read for myself, I have a tendency to kind of go, well, is that really what I want to see? Is that really what I'm seeing? Or is that what I want to see? Am I interpreting that the right way? Well, what about this? And it's the same thing when I read for people that I know very well. I actually prefer to read for people that I don't know at all. Now, just to get into this little discussion, because this comes up a lot of times in some of the tarot groups that I'm on Tarot Nerds in Facebook, and I see this all the time. Two things that always get brought up. One is reading reversals. If you read reversals, that's fine for you. I do not read reversals. I see the cards as archetypal, and whatever the message is that's attached to that card, the reason that card is being pulled in the reading, I'm going to get that message regardless of the direction the card is facing. It does not mean anything to me. Each of the cards, as many of you know, have multiple meanings, and those meanings are shaded by how they lay out with other cards in the spread, right? What each position means, what the person's question is, that sort of thing. Another thing that is protocol for me when I do a reading for someone, I don't want to know your specific question. Please do not tell me, does Joe love me? Because that may not be what the cards have to tell you. I like to know the general nature of the reading, and then I will give the reading based on that. I am also one of those people that I can do spot readings, like I can sit down and do readings for people on the spot, but I actually like to have a couple of days to allow their questions' energy to infuse in the ether of my energy. So typically for me, because I have another business and I have to work that job 5, sometimes 6 days a week, I usually reserve readings for the weekends. I will do them sometimes during the week if I can fit them into the schedule with my regular standing clients, but I have a pretty set schedule and that drains me energetically. So I usually will have people schedule their readings on the weekends. And I like that because then I can tell them, keep your mind focused on what it is you're wanting to know during the week, and I can kind of allow that energy to kind of come down to me, and it gives me information prior to the reading. So for example, I had a client that ordered a custom reading, which is one of the readings I offer on my webpage. It's pretty sizable reading, usually at least 12 cards. Sometimes they'll want just a traditional Celtic cross, and that's okay too, but I even may shade that. So For example, this person wanted a custom reading, and the nature of her question was she had questions about her finances and her relationship. Now, she told me nothing about her relationship at all, which was fine. I prefer that. So I was getting this impression during the week that I needed to do an 8-card spread, 4 cards. And what I did was I pulled the suits of Pentacles and Cups, and then I took the majors, and I left out swords and yeah, whatever. Oh my Lord, it's a Monday. I left out the other 2 suits, and I went just with Cups related to relationships, Pentacles related to finances, and the majors, because the majors are always key for me. They give you messages directly from Spirit. So I did her spread, and it ended up being a very good reading, but I can tell you it drained me energetically. By the time I finished with her, she was a long distance client, so we were doing it by Zoom, and by the time we were done, I was literally shaking. It took 2 bowls of my husband's stir fry he had made the night before to get myself back together. And this is coming into another topic that I brought up in the video when I recorded it the first time through, when it had didn't have sound, was that another thing that comes up in groups all the time is, charging for your readings. Here's the way I see it. When I am reading for others, I am giving them some of my energy. Okay. My energy is valuable to me. It is worth something. So I want an even and equal value exchange for the amount of energy that I'm putting in there. And sometimes even for the prices that I charge, it's not equal. I can tell you that a lot of my energy goes into those readings. And so I feel that if you are one of those people that think you have a gift and you have to share it and not charge, that's fine. That's for you. But that's not the case for me. I believe in an even and equal value exchange for my time and my energy, and so I do charge for readings. Now, the other topic that comes up a lot in these groups is cleansing your deck. And one of the arguments against cleansing your deck that I hear all the time is, well, your deck is not sentient. It's a tool. That's true. But your house is not sentient either. And if you think your home does not absorb your energy, you are sadly mistaken. How many times have you walked into an old home and you could just feel the history in that house? Objects absorb the energy around them. And when you're doing a reading for someone, your cards absorb the energy of you and your querent. So absolutely, I cleanse my decks between readings, especially if I'm doing like a party where I've been hired as entertainment and people want me to come in and do multiple readings. I will try to get a beat on how many people I'm going to be reading for, roughly, and I will bring that many decks, and I will grab the deck that speaks to me. Now, I always bring something to cleanse my decks with in case somebody needs the same deck that I've already read for, because I've had that happen. But it doesn't have to be anything major, like you don't have to cleanse your deck. You can just have a little bit of incense and run the deck through the smoke. That's fine. I do it forwards, backwards 3 times, and that's enough to cleanse your deck. You just need something to dispel the energy. Another thing I have done is I have taken a piece of selenite with me, like this, and I will put it on the deck and allow the selenite to cleanse the deck for me. It will ground that energy out of that deck and prepare it, because you will find that if you continuously use your deck, your readings will not be as accurate because it's now mixing with the energy of all of the other people. That is how I view it. That's not how you view it. If it works for you, fine. But for me, yes, it absorbs the energy of the querent, and therefore you need to make sure that you are clearing that energy before you start with a reading for someone else. Another thing that I do when I read for myself, I have specific decks that I use just for me. One of the decks that I use is Roxy Sims' Joy and Sorrow Oracle deck, and this is an example of her artwork. One of my dogs chewed one of my cards, and she sent me the expansion deck, which I already had the expanded deck, so I got some extra cards. Included in that was the one that got chewed, so this one I keep on my computer. I love this card. I was drawn to the card. She said she thinks the reason why is because she thinks I look like the girl in the deck, which is funny. But I love this card. It's called Crystal Gazing. And you'll see she has like a description of her intention of what her meaning of the picture is that she drew, and then what the card is supposed to tell you. And I will draw one of those every morning for myself to kind of get an idea for what do I need to keep in mind when I'm going forward in my day. I also have the original black and white Spirit Keepers Tarot, and I use that deck specifically for me. I do not do readings with that deck. I had the Vitruvian edition, but I gifted that to someone else who did some artwork for one of my books that's up and coming that I'm still working on. And I did that in lieu of paying her because she didn't want payment for her work, but I didn't feel right taking her artwork without giving her something in exchange, and she was looking for a deck, so I gave her that one. The Spirit Keeper's pretty comprehensive. It's a lot of cards, and she's melding the Rider-Waite and Crowley systems in it. The book for the deck is like this thick. It's worth reading, but it's a lot to get through. So I use that deck specifically for me. I do not read other people with that deck, but I have a lot of other decks. I have some that I got, but I didn't really connect with, and I've got some that I got, but for other reasons I don't use them. The Crow Tarot I'm sorry, not the Crow Tarot. I love that one. The Raven Oracle Tarot or something like that. The cards are like this big in my little hands. I can't. So I'm having to try to do this, but they stick together, so I need to get some baby powder and on the cards. But my issue with reading for myself is, am I really seeing what's there? Am I trusting? It's a trust issue for me. I don't always trust the messages that I'm getting. I'm always afraid that I'm seeing what I want to see or what I'm afraid I'll see. And so I really have an issue. And it's the same thing for reading people that are close to me. I'm trying to do more of that, and that's actually where the Saturday Sling series came out of on the Purple Broom Apothecary, my personal channel on here on YouTube. That Saturday Sling series actually birthed out of my desire to get over not trusting myself in my own readings for myself and being able to use the cards more as a tool for me personally. So I will say, if you're like me and you're clairaudient when you do tarot readings, you're hearing the messages, trust what you're hearing, even if it's for yourself. Learn to trust your own intuition in that voice that you hear, because what you're getting is what you're getting, right? So, when I read for others, I don't have that issue. I'm pretty, I can sit down and say, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm hearing, and this is how I interpret that. So, I will say, trust yourself in your readings for yourself, and do a lot of readings for yourself to get over that sense of, well, am I seeing what I want to see? I don't know about this. Self-doubt is your number one killer when it comes to doing any kind of scrying or divination work. Anytime you're doing divination, you need to trust that the message you're receiving is the message you're supposed to be receiving. So if this kind of ties into Matt Aron's book about self-doubt being a killer. He talks about that in Psychic Witch. If you don't have a copy of that book, I strongly recommend it, especially for doing any type of divination, because one of the things he talks about in the very first chapter is that self-doubt is a killer. The minute you doubt yourself, nothing's going to be accurate. So trust yourself and get out there and do it. My hair is a hot mess. Wow. But I feel that doing readings for yourself really shouldn't be very different than doing readings for others, and vice versa. As far as charging for readings, I think I already mentioned that. I know I was talking about that at the end of the last video, but to me, it's an even and equal value exchange, and so you need to value your time and your gifts, both. People that have a gift for being, understanding electrical workings, they still charge. An electrician is still going to charge you for the work that he's doing for you, whether he has a gift or not. It's an even and equal value exchange. So keep that in mind. And, reading for yourself shouldn't feel much different than reading for others, in my opinion. So get out there and do more of it. Trust your intuition. Trust the voice that you're hearing. Like any other form of divination, it's a message from the astral. So take that message and give it what you need. I personally like to do a small meditation before I do my readings, just to clear my mind of any issues that I personally am having, to make sure that that energy is not infusing into the reading, which is another reason why I like to save them for the weekends, because then my mind's not on work. I feel I can focus on the reading, but that's not always the case. I've sat down in the middle of the week and done readings, and I can do that. Fortunately, I've gotten to a point with my self-meditation that I can be in my sacred grove in 5 minutes and out of it in 5 minutes. And that's all it takes for me to ground myself and clear my mind. So, plus I'm always carrying some sort of crystal on me. So that was one of the things. Oh, I think I did mention that. Hey, look, it's a bloodstone. So, things like that will help me, but those are my personal tools. It's not something you have to do. It's just something that I personally do that helps me in my own mind feel prepared and ready to do that, and to give that best of my energy to that person's reading. Because whether I've been hired for entertainment purposes, or whether somebody's coming to me for a sincere reading for guidance in some sort of situation that they're having, or that eagle eye view to a situation that maybe they feel like something's not quite right and they want to get a little bit of input to it, I will always and forever trust my intuition, even if the person thinks that it's not correct. It is something that you've got to say, well, put that in your pocket and hang on to it, because there may be other factors that you're not seeing, because what I'm being told is this: always trust your intuition. It will be right. They may not see it immediately, and they might tell you, oh, you're way off base. But if you're way off base or not, you are not going to be way off base. If you trust your intuition, I guarantee you that some point down the line, they're going to come back to you and say, you know what? I thought you were so far off base, but guess what happened? Trust it. You're being told this for a reason, so listen to that voice. Keep it in your head. Tell them, you know what? You may need to put that information in your pocket and kind of hang on to it, because I'm telling you, ... So trust yourself above all, even with your own readings. Self-doubt is a killer in divination, so don't doubt the message that you're receiving, even if it doesn't always make sense at the moment. Thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.